Bonesaw. Jigsaw is ready.
Let them stew with that.
Punch it!
Evan.
Nathan.
101.
Dalmatians? Are we watching that? Are we commentating 101 Dalmatians? Holy shit.
You got me. No, yeah, episode 101, season 1, episode 1. We're back.
Wow, we're back.
For the first time.
In forever?
Every saga has a beginning, one might say. But no, we are in the new, not millennia.
Centennial,
I guess. Yeah, this is episode 101, Hyperspace Hype. 1 through 100 doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's a whole new era with the penultimate episode of Ahsoka, titled Dreams and Madness.
Dreams, madness, ghouls, as Adam Driver likes to say.
I was listening to one of his TED Talks before we went live.
Oh, wow. Look at Mr. TED Talk over here. Oh, man.
I'm not, but I was just like, oh, yeah, Adam, talking about his time in the armed forces.
Oh, yeah, the armed forces and the plays and stuff, that kind of TED Talk, I think.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
He said, I cracked up. He said something about, spending my time visiting Blockbuster, God rest her soul. It's amazing.
Adam has like one of the best dry comedy beats ever. He's always on it. Ahsoka, episode 7. I loved episode 5. I love episode
4. I love
episode 4.
4, 5, 6. I love
4, 5, and 6. 4, 5, and 6 was great. Nathan, I gotta say,
that's okay. You don't have to. Stop! No!
Don't be rash.
Don't be rash.
Well, still one of the best beats of the year.
Yeah, get those screeners for Acolyte when they come around.
You're right. I loved this episode. This was great. Please email us. Please, Lucasfilm. I want those Acolyte screeners so badly.
We got Skeleton Crew.
Fuck.
Which I'm looking forward to.
This should be fun. Watch them release it all at once because they're like, oh yeah, this show is still coming out.
What is the fate of Echo? It got pushed now.
That's Disney, that question. They probably don't care. Anyways. When this episode ended, I was like, that was okay. And then I sat with it. And I don't think I'm okay, Bob.
Oh, damn. All right.
I did not enjoy this episode. For me, at least, it was the weakest episode next to episode 3. And not to say I didn't have fun with it. There's a lot of fun in this episode, particularly the some of the Ezra and Sabine moments towards the end were great. I think the actor, I keep forgetting his name, but he embodies Ezra so well, and I think a lot of his dialogue and a lot of his moments with the action was great. My biggest beef with this episode, I don't know why I said beef. I don't usually say that word at all. My biggest gripe with this episode is that it kind of lacked substance, especially leading into the finale. Now, if this was an episode of Rebels, I'd be like, cool, that was great. We have 10 more episodes until we get something. It's a classic Rebels episode. At least this episode reminded me of one where in season 3 and a little bit of season 4, Thrawn would go after the Rebel crew. He would fail. He would say, you know what? I succeeded. I did it. It was all part of my plan. We'll clap it off, and then we'll wait for 0 hour at the end of the finale. This one, though, I mean, in those episodes, and I was talking to somebody else about this, I forget who, but in those episodes, when Thrawn inevitably failed, because it's a cartoon and we only have 23 minutes, we would always get something of interest from either Sabine, Ezra, some member of the Ghost crew. They would go through a lesson while Thrawn inevitably fails, but eventually he's like, I'm learning more about the Rebels crew. Like he was cooking something. In this episode, he's cooking something. He's like, I bought time. I knew I had to keep them away from the Chimera. Our cargo is being secured. We got time. They're not even close to us. We got this. See you next week, basically. Meanwhile, what we gained from this episode, not much. I mean, I think last week I said what I wanted was some good Ezra and Sabine reunion. We cut to this episode, and most of that is off screen. We cut to them in a caravan, and it's just she's still being vague about how she came back for some reason. Do you think Ezra's gonna be mad at you? Like why is Filoni dragging out this reveal? All she has to say is what the audience already knows. How like Ezra's the only one in the cold here. We're 2 episodes in, and she's just waiting to tell Ezra, yeah, I came back, but Thrawn's in the picture now. There's some danger. Ahsoka's on her way. He didn't even know that Ahsoka was alive. I mean, granted, Sabine thought she was dead too, but it was just a lack of information. I kind of was expecting, a continuation of the hut scene where she goes into the hut and they just talk about how much she misses him, but they're
not talking in that hut.
I know, right? Maybe that's why they cut it out. No, but but it was just weird. I was like, why are we cutting away from this, going straight into the caravan? And then even then, their dialogue felt stilted in that like they weren't really talking about anything of interest. At least I didn't even put some in my notes. I was like, did they say anything interesting? I don't think so. Some cool, fun jabs about their past, like, hey, you're a Jedi now? Whoa, how did that happen? Cute, very funny. I liked it. But it didn't really move anything forward for me, at least character-wise. And this is not for me saying, like, I want the plot to be moving forward every single week, because I don't really need that to happen. But I wanted some character beats to be interesting, at least. But most of all, the best part about the show, for me at least, was Shin and Baylan. What has Baylan been cooking? What's going on in this world? Last week, there's so many theories, so many interesting things about, like, what this planet has to offer for him. Nothing this week. We got him looking for him and Shin looking at Ezra. He says, and I meant to write down a quote, but I did not get it. But he said something along the lines of like your path leads somewhere else, basically. I got to go somewhere else, basically. She goes off on a mission. Did he expect her to fail? Did he expect her to win? I'm not really sure. We can get into that.
He ends up saying, go take your place in the new empire.
Exactly.
Which he kind of has been speaking about, like, it being like a necessary thing for change, but not really something that he's putting his eggs in the basket.
Which brings me a lot of more questions. We'll get into that as well. But then again, we have no idea what Baylan's listening to in this realm, in this world. What's he thinking? What's he really thinking about with his connection to Thrawn, with his connection to Shin? Like, I was expecting, like, if this is like their final goodbye, well, I assume they'll see each other again in the finale, but it's like I expected him to say something of parting ways to her or something, but he just says, like, hey, go fulfill your mission. I got somewhere else to be. And then we get Ahsoka and Baylan fighting for a little bit, and then he runs off, she runs off, Shin runs off, and we get Ahsoka and Shin, and then she runs off. I'm just like,
but there's
what?
But there was hesitation from Shin for a second.
There was hesitation, and somebody tweeted out, was like, Shin redemption, like, oh my gosh, she hesitated. If that's our only moment of interest with Shin in this episode, a 5-second stare down, that's a problem. I wanted Shin to say something, verbalize something, do something that was like captivating in the least, but I didn't feel like anything moved with Shin and Baylan. She just ran away.
It's fairly minimal, but I do find, like, before Baylan says the words to pass her off, she is like taken aback that when he gives her the command to go after them, and she's just like, well, you're not going to help? Like, you're not with me on this one? And then he says his spiel, and I think that kind of will give her, I know we're not seeing it, but like give it time to like stew inside of her, and then having that moment offered in kind by Ahsoka, because she, like, even when Shin runs away, she stops Ezra and Sabine from going after her.
Yeah.
Which could, be like an olive branch of trust to like think back on.
100%. And these are things I was like looking for. And you're right. She does give Baylan that glare, and then she gives Ahsoka that stare. but these are so small in between. And I hope, Nathan, we always do this. We always do this with Filoni shows. We put too much thought into it. Honestly, we put too much thought into it. I'm like, Shin's stare with Baylan. Is her doubt with her master increasing at all? Is there a doubt when she looks at Ahsoka? It's like, is she willing to take the hand? Are these things we should be thinking about? Are these things that are cooking, or they're just like off the kitchen table and we're just putting things on the kitchen table that aren't meant to be there? I have no idea, because I don't think Filoni has given us a lot of, ingredients to actually like parse things through. I don't know. My biggest gripe is that there's a lot on the line for this finale. Like, there's so many things I have to conclude that I don't think are going to be concluded in this finale. Which begs me to think about, like, what is the main theme of this season? What needs to be completed for the season to be like, okay, that was a cool season 1 ending that ends this plot line of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think for Ahsoka, she's already 75-85% of the way there, thanks to episode 5. But Baylan is at like 50% at least. I feel like there's a lot of things the antagonist, even Thrawn, needs to do to feel like we end season 1 on a good note. I don't want a season 1 cliffhanger. And if we do get a cliffhanger, that's fine, but it's like, I don't want to tease for his movie. I don't want to tease for season 2. Just give me a conclusive ending. Wow, give me something to think about for season 2. Something like the Mando season 1 finale, I thought did that very well. But overall, and then there's the we'll get into it when we go through the order of the episode, but the whole opening of the episode I thought could have been an email.
The whole opening could have been
the whole opening tribunal. I'm like,
wait, now I'm blanking. What was the opening?
The Jedi tribunal, not Jedi, the Coruscant tribunal with Hera.
Oh, right. Well, I was of a mind of being like, okay, cool, we got that resolved out of the way. Now let's go into that finale.
I clocked it, and we were like 8 minutes into the episode. I was like, because what did we gain from that? Like, Diono, still an asshole.
Like, well, I think what we got from it was, so Hera's conflict is resolved, but we also now are. It does seem we're having Mon Mothma on our side in full force of like prepping of the oncoming threat of Thrawn, which I imagine, as I've been saying for a while, I think that he's going to be the primary bad of Filoni's film.
I'm so curious about that still. And ever since the film was announced, I was like, so what is Ahsoka season 1 and maybe even season 2 going to be about? Like, is Thrawn... It all depends when this freaking film comes out, really. But it's like, is Thrawn going to just be jump from season 1 to the movie? Or is he going to jump from season 1 to season 2, then a movie?
It's odd because we're in a scenario that we don't like to be in, Evan, where we have to view the culmination of this movie in Avenger terms. I know, because they already said like the culmination of the Mando versus this movie.
Oh boy!
So we had to think like, stuff from Ahsoka is going to factor into that movie, but so is stuff presumably from Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, I suppose, and other Skeleton Crew, maybe. Who's to say? Because I think the fucking rando pirate dude from season 3 of Mando is in Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, he is.
So,
oh boy,
all that. Well, I guess we'll see. Which is funny because every time I think about Filoni's movie, because he's the one who's going to be directing it, I'm only ever thinking about the elements from the Ahsoka series for it. I'm not thinking about anything else.
Me too, because Mando ended so like, yippee-ki-yay, we're good, guys.
Yeah, are we gonna go into the movie and Din's like coming off the porch?
Like, oh, I'm old man Din. Oh yeah, it's like, okay. And it's funny. Season 3 ended in a way that made me less excited for Din's journey in the movie. What's he going to do in the movie? I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, Before we begin, do you have your overall thoughts with the episode?
I thought it was fun. I think it's a similar thing I think we said about episode 3, which was like it's fun, but it is primarily action over story
Yeah.
for the through line. I think I do probably agree with the sentiment you ended up tweeting out, which was you were worried some of the we have to resolve all this into one last episode as opposed to bridging it into a 2-part finale type deal, which probably would have been stronger. But yeah, like I said, like I thought it was fun. I love the Ezra and Sabine stuff. I love the banter with them. Like she's trying to give his saber back. He's like, no, I don't need it. It's fine. No, you keep it. It's yours.
The eye squeeze, like the force is all I need. I was like, this is pure Ezra. It was really good. Yeah, I liked that a lot.
Yeah, and even the when they're all surrounded by Shin, he's like, "You want to take us as prisoners, or we could
Do you still do that? Do you do the prisoner shit still? Like we did that a lot in Rebels, and we made our way out. So please arrest us because we'll find a way out.
I'll think about On the Way, which I think is how Sabine got into this mess.
Yeah.
I guess another thing with that too is I think the whole like overarching thing of Sabine not wanting to, say the predicament she's currently in is because she doesn't want to face the troubling reality that Ahsoka's right. I made the wrong decision, even though I did, reunite with my friend. But I think the fact that by the end, the very last scene when Ahsoka gives a reassuring smile to Sabine, and just like, what, missed this reunion, and kind of just like lets any type of grudge fall to the wayside, and there's a sense of like relief on all parties involved.
Agreed. And I think that Ahsoka reunion moment was special and cool in the sense that, like, in the last episode, she was kind of doubting, like, Sabine, she didn't make the right decision. Huyang has to be like, well, other people have different meanings of what the right decision actually is. And then I think Ahsoka stewed on that. She connected with Sabine on the planet. And then at the end, seeing Ezra in the flesh, I think really solidified, like, okay, this was Sabine's right decision. We have found Ezra. We are reunited, and we can save the getting back home and stopping Thrawn for later. Because I think she forgot about that along the way. But yeah, so overall, we can start from the beginning here, where we get this Coruscant, and it's always fun seeing Coruscant post Return of the Jedi. I felt the same way after with Mando episode 3 or 4, one of those episodes with the Doctor on Coruscant. Really cool. And then we get this tribunal, which again, I think if the show is trying to solidify that, like, yeah, there are some people on Coruscant who don't believe that Thrawn is still a threat. I was left confused, though, because Senator Yono talks about how Jedi, space whales, Imperial remnants, preposterous, basically.
Are we to believe any of this?
Are we to believe? I mean, yes! There's 3 ships on Cetos that saw them get past whales.
Does he not know about the Battle of Lothal at all?
Right? I'm like, these are public records where twice now people have seen whales. We saw the whole thing of like Hera saying goodbye to Ahsoka. Those 3 big Republic ships said like, whoa, we got to get out of the way for these whales get us. Are they not corroborating that story? It felt so odd for him to be like, I don't believe the space whales.
How blind of a rage must the man have to not be aware of all this? Like, and right? Also, isn't like Luke a well-known top-ranking soldier / Jedi of the rebellion?
Yes. So it was really weird. I think in the Star Wars lore of it all, you can chalk it up to him being from Hosnian Prime. He's one of those rich, cold world people who was just like, he stuck to their way. He probably didn't participate in the Empire, Republic, Rebel conflict at all. So he wants to throw all that aside and just maintain the peace that he has been living in for the past 10 years. Meanwhile, the people on the other worlds that have been through the battles, they know of what's to come probably. You know of threats like, Teva mentioned, like, what about Mandalore? Which again solidifies that this does take place after Mandalorian season 3. Because he talks about what about Moff Gideon's attack on Mandalore. Want to see anything about that? He's like, oh, just ignore that. Chalk it up to whatever. I forget how he declined it, but he just basically ignored that as well.
Yeah. I think just like he called it Gideon like an independent operation. Very, like, not something that speaks to a larger thing. But we as viewers know about the fucking like
Shadow
secret room
Council.
meeting.
Yeah. So it's just, again, it's like these people continue to ignore the threat of Thrawn. But you're right. I think I was overly dismissive of this scene. I did like C-3PO coming in. That was a very cool cameo. This is the kind of cameo that I like, offering something. It's not like, hey, 3PO, go! But
It was
it was really cool seeing him like embody Leia through him.
yeah, which I think is there's like no better way to do that than sending the 3PO or R2 as a representative of Leia, and R2 is primarily hanging out with Luke these days, so 3PO is the right choice. I was very taken aback to an emotional degree because even though Anthony Daniels has like probably done at least like 50 side projects for Star Wars, outside of like seeing a Lego holiday special or something like that, I didn't really anticipate on seeing him in live action again anytime soon since Tross came out. So it was very special to see him return, like suit and all. Whether Anthony's in the suit, I believe he probably is because he tends to be a stickler for the tradition of that, infamously during the Rogue One days. But
we'll get the Ahsoka, the making of episodes that I stopped watching, but he'll definitely be in those. He'll definitely be in that. Like, hey, this is what happened in episode 7. But yeah, I'm happy for him too. He's a great ambassador for Star Wars. He's always on call. I think he just lives in the Lucasfilm studio. just call him upstairs and he'll film something for us.
He's like, I want a new sunroof.
Yeah. Yeah, always on board for that paycheck. Love Anthony. He's great. So yeah, I agree with you so much. Like it felt so like heartwarming seeing not seeing Leia, but just him embodying Leia, and it felt so much like Leia. It's like, oh yeah, Hera was always on this random secret mission, and Siono was like the biggest loser, being like, oh, I you didn't have any clearance for that, Senator Siono, so you of course had no knowledge of it. It was so funny. And then Mothma immediately
can't submit evidence against my claim.
Yeah.
From a mere droid. Chopper getting pissed in the audience.
From a mere droid. I'm like, yeah, what do you do? Anti-droid rights? Come on.
You know how we got here? Was from 2 droids?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm surprised Chopper didn't go over there and like shock him or something.
I mean, he was yelling. He was like, what?
Yeah, he was cussing him out in droid. But then Mothma immediately is like, yeah, so what's the real? And again, I feel like Mothma, we've seen this in episode like 2 or 3 where we know she's sus of Thrawn. She's like the only one who's sus of Thrawn. So for her to say like,
she trusts our side.
Exactly. She's like, so how real is this? I'm like,
yeah, it's just her being at the mercy of
it's real,
the patriarchy that she has to follow under.
Freaking men, idiots.
Right.
But
these Kens, all of them.
Exactly. So I think I'll use this moment to say, like, what are we expecting, if anything, from Thrawn's presence in the finale? In terms of, yeah, he's going to be in the finale, but I'm saying like Thrawn's presence against the New Republic. Is season 1 going to end with people's egg in their face? Is basically what I'm saying. Right?
I would think so. I would be.
No, you can't just save that.
No, you can't. It can't just be like our allies coming back and are speaking closely with Mon Mothma, being like, "Yeah, he's around," but then like
he's on his way.
I think it would be cool if like they ended with Thrawn sending out a galactic message of like his return, but show it on screen. Star Wars,
please. Go to Fortnite and see Thrawn.
Somehow, Thrawn returned.
Oh God. But yeah, I would really love it if. Yeah, that's a good one because that reminds me of like the High Republic. The High Republic did that recently, where a villain stated his like big thing across the whole galaxy. People are like, "Oh shit!" Like if Thrawn did that, that'd be really cool. I also want to show a Force as well. They could show because that's the tell not show version of it. I think they could show not tell version of it where he comes back from Peridia and blows up some ships. There's some complete devastation on Thrawn's part. I would love that. Yeah, I just think for a second there, I thought like he'd come back on Cetos, and we know there's like a New Republic caravan on Cetos who was supposed to go after Hera. Like if they're still there on Cetos, Thrawn could just obliterate them. But a couple of days has passed. I doubt they're still there. So I don't know. I figure some kind of show of force is still something we need to see. We need to see Thrawn's threat because so far he failed in this episode. How threatening is the guy? So I think they need to zero.
From a certain point.
Yeah, he gave us time. You know, our cargo. It's like okay.
Well, it's not just his way of playing chess.
Again, even in Rebels, and I love Rebels. I don't want to disparage anybody. I love Rebels. So let me cook.
Don't
let me cook. Don't be rash. Those episodes of Rebels, like, were 5 episodes in a row. He'd be like, "Well, I'm just learning more about him." Those grated on me for a minute there, especially when you watch it week to week on Rebels. But then it made sense when we get to the finale of 0 hours. You know, we watched it for our commentary. I think 0 hours is a very effective finale because it's a good culmination of the buildup that had been happening all throughout season 3, where he was taking these supposed L's, but he was learning more about Hera, learning more about Sabine, learning more about how the Republic maneuvers in battle. And he completely had them on the ropes until one idiot general moved ahead on him. But in this finale, I think we still need to see some kind of threat. Because the Noti were making these stormtroopers look like idiots, and I want to see some devastation.
Yeah, I don't think there's any like harder moment of Thrawn than when Ezra, ejects his whole station out into the sky, and he's just like, "You're done, Thrawn." And Thrawn's like, "Well, thank you for moving my forces out of the way."
That was baller. I was like, "Oh,
fuck!"
And now I can just obliterate Lothal. That was dark, and yeah, we were like, "Oh, damn!" That was
fuck.
Ezra was like, "I did not see that coming." That was not.
In this moment, he was like, "All right, I guess I'll go die."
Yeah, I guess time to call in the whales. So yeah.
I guess that also makes me wonder, like, how is the finale to go? I guess we're making predictions throughout the entire review here, but
yeah, go ahead.
Do we feel that Thrawn gets, like, everybody's gonna jump back to our galaxy by the middle of the episode or by the end?
End has to be the end.
Because if by the end, I don't think we have time to show a force of action, as you're calling for, from Thrawn.
Well,
to, like, make some damage in the new layout of the galaxy.
This is why I think this episode is so badly paced, because there's so much we have to. I thought we'd for sure get like the heroes at least attempting to go after Chimera in this episode, but they don't even know. Ezra doesn't even know about Thrawn's ship yet. Maybe he does. I'm not sure.
It might have been better to initiate a sense of like a time limit of sorts, of like, Thrawn's ship is about to take off. That is our only way back. We are this far out. We have to go now.
A ticking clock, 100%. That's what I was expecting.
And then kick off the finale of just like zoom in, like, are we gonna make it? Are we gonna make it? Oh shit! And then by the time we do, it's like, okay, cool, we made it, but so did Thrawn, and now we have to do the rest of the episode. We're like, he's back. Oh shit!
Yeah, because I'm starting to feel like less and less. Because you're right. Like, I think we're gonna get a huge Peridia battle next week. Not even talking about the Balin and Shin stuff, which I think at its appropriate time as well. But we also have to clue in Ezra to what's going on the ship, get them on board the ship, if that's the only way out. I think it is at this point. I think they have to be sneak on board. I can't think of anything else unless it's some force magic, which Filoni is prone to do.
Sure. I mean, unless they take a shortcut between worlds, which it doesn't really like to do that.
No.
You tend to go back to where you first stepped into.
And even in Rebels, like, you know how Ezra used like the Lothal wolves to transport halfway across the planet itself? Like,
right, that
could work, but then they would set that up throughout all of season 4, like that these wolves were special. There was
at least like the last 3 episodes.
In this season, it's like nothing has been set up that the world is capable of trans galaxy teleportation. So
All we
Again,
know is that it is the world of the Night Sister, so maybe magic in a way could help. But then why didn't Thrawn use that at all during the time?
great point. Yeah, so that's a good point. So I think the ship again, just sneaking on board the ship seems very Star Warsy. I'll be fine with it. It seemed to be the only way to get in and get out, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
and there's like a two-step of racing. It's like Thrawn's destroyer has to dock onto the hyperspace ring itself. So it's like, are we gonna try to sneak aboard? Are we gonna try to like sneak aboard his destroyer? Or are we sneaking aboard the ring? How, like, what is our angle here?
that's a great point. Yeah, and I'm not even sure about that. I'll leave that for the action of the episode.
Because I also don't think the Star Wars are coming back. I think they're spooked off from the minefield, so I think they're out.
Appropriately so. I think, which was hilarious. They were like, "Peace out. We ain't staying for this."
No,
Yeah, they were like, "Fuck that shit. I'm out." Yeah, they were gone.
I haven't heard that in a decade.
You're welcome. So yeah, again, yeah, I don't think any space wheels is happening. I think they have to sneak on board. But I think the big X factor is Balin's mystery monster thing, something. That's the only X factor, because it's such an X factor that could also lead the way to our hero's salvation if they don't want to sneak on board the ship.
Did you see the thing going that we were talking about in chat about his wrist gauntlet, Arabesh translating to names?
Yeah, Luke, Han, right?
Mm-hmm. Basically, cool. everybody of A New Hope.
Yeah, that was weird, but I think it's just like a call out. I don't think it's anything significant. Do you? I mean,
I kind of do, just because I know a lot of, because we were even like arguing this in chat. I was shockingly, I was on the same side as Josh, which I don't know how I feel, but
what were you guys saying? I'm scared now.
We were going against Noah of all people, the man who defends our least favorite movie. Well, basically, it was kind of like an argument of just like whether or not it is just a fun little Easter egg background thing. But like anytime we've experienced like background Arabic stuff translated, it would be like, you're signing Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's just milk or some like fill-in shit like that. It's never like a significant like name of character, and specifically this group, especially like while someone's like on a hunt. It's normally it's random wording. It's not something as specific as like names of characters within the time period being written.
Yeah, I think if it was going to be anything significant, we'd have to learn basically anything more about Balin to be.
We're kind of at like two crossroads, right? Because with the unfortunate scenario of what happened to Ray Stevenson, we know Balin's story is to be cut short. So we have to like question, are they going to just let the story unfold as it was originally going to, and things are going to have to be left open-ended, or are they going to rush it all together to a conclusion? Or I was posing a thing in chat, which it's a shitty thing to think about, but do you think they would look to recast the character of Balin to continue the story?
Oh man, I gotta look at this chat sometimes. I just mute you guys.
Well, it was going for a while at like 3 a.m.
Oh, maybe that's why I was knocked out.
My schedule is awful these days now.
What?
My schedule is awful these days now, so I was just like, I'm here. I'll start trouble.
I love that for you. Okay, I forget what question I'm answering now. Oh yeah, you said so. Is Balin? Wait, were you asking me?
Okay, so just to summarize, do you think we completely wrap up Balin's story, or do you think they let it play out originally? And to the second part of that, do you think they continue the character of Balin with a recast?
It's funny. I've always thought the season was building up to his death, especially last week. I said there's so many death flags for his character. Just him being an older statesman character, that's a red flag in Star Wars itself. Like older characters tend to die in Star Wars, so I always assumed he was going to die, especially last week, learning more about his relationship with Shin. Like, I created you to be something better than Jedi, better than than what I was trained in. So he's a character that expects more from his Padawan. I think even as little as we got in this episode, we got him saying like how much he wants Shin to be independent of him and his ideas. And that independence could lead to her having a brighter future while he unfortunately dies or succumbs to the ominous, what I believe to be an ominous threat that he's searching for.
There was
Even though, yeah,
I forgot he said a great line to Shin before leaving her, which was like something along the lines of
I wanted to look at that line.
it was like any rush to victory is a guaranteed defeat. Something along those lines.
That's definitely rings a bell. Yeah, like along the lines, like if you rush towards victory, you'll get like an inevitable defeat. Because basically be patient. I'm gonna look up the quote right now because it's bugging me. I literally put in my notes the word quote.
Nice.
Oh, and I'm like, I meant to thank you. I meant to look up the.
I got sync up for the viewer.
I meant to look up the quote. I never got the time. Subtitles. Okay. Your ambition drives you in one direction. My path lies in another. And she looks at him like, okay. And then I think that's it.
Sounds a little selfish.
She looked at her comm link. She says, Ezra's in this location. I look at Ezra Bridger. Yep. Sending his coordinates. And then anything else? One parting lesson, Shin. And this is the victory line. Yeah. Impatience for victory will guarantee defeat. That's it. And I was like, come on. Like that's it's a good line, as I stated. But it's such a of the moment line where it doesn't include me into anything about their relationship. It just immediately says like, hey, when you fight Sabine and Ezra, be patient. So yeah, she does look at him before leaving. And this is what's so good about these two actors. Their physical performances are really good. Especially when she looks at him and he looks at her. It's like there's an unspoken thing, but it's too unspoken. And I don't like it. I think there's too much subtext. And I'm a huge subtext fan. I love it. But there's other shows I love that are able to be very upfront with what their messaging is. And it doesn't rely on us having to do the heavy lifting. Especially for a show that I don't think is trying to be as subtextual as it seems to be right now. But anyways, yeah, sorry.
It gets alarming because like with how much they're laying with the subtext and like spending time with these characters, I can't imagine anything entering a dead end with these two.
What do you mean by that?
Like if they just like end in like death as their defeat and then
exactly
that's it.
It's so subtextual that there has to be everybody's expecting like something to happen, right? And unfortunately, like we said, Ray Stevenson's passing is unfortunate, but I've always thought that he was going to die anyways in this finale. If he doesn't, then I think you do have to go. I think you might have to go the recasting route, maybe.
Yeah, because I never thought about the idea of him dying at this stage anyway. Because I don't really see where things are going to go. Because if he just like is like looking for a great power, finds it, dies, that's not a very cool ending. If it comes down to a thing where Shin catches up to him, seeing this thing, and he dies as a cause of it, and then she's exposed to it to a change, and that's like scares her out of it. I don't know if that's what they would want.
I think that's where we're heading, which is why I was so disappointed that this episode gave us nothing, no movement at all on that front, either on Shin and Balin's connection. There's nothing like, hey, Master, thank you for everything, or hey, Master, what are your thoughts? Are you sure you should be doing this? None of Shin's worried were verbalized. If she's worried at all, I can't tell. And then none of Balin's motivations or like signs or anything. He's just like glaring to the unknown at points, especially after Ahsoka leaves. So I'm just like, what is going to happen? So what line were you on? Sorry, what line were you on in terms of like, if he doesn't die, you think they recast him?
I've only recently, as of like not even 48 hours ago, was thinking about the thought of them doing a recast. which I can't remember the last time that specifically happened in recent memory where they had to keep the story going and they ended up
Yeah.
recasting somebody. I think I remember like heavy rumors of like they're recasting Leia for 9. Way back when. But we also know Lucasfilm will never fucking recast anybody of like the great legacy characters. So it would
Yeah.
seem. But Balin's such a new person, and I don't know. It also makes me wonder. Like this isn't even Star Wars related, but like when it comes to Hercules in or not Hercules Zeus in Percy Jackson, because our boy he's still like in the marketing for season 1 right now, so they're still rolling with him.
Lance Hendrickson. Yeah.
Yeah, he's still going to be portrayed Zeus, but I imagine Zeus is in more than just the Lightning Thief, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's
So
in all the books. I think most of the books, the vast majority of them. So he's definitely going to get recasted.
yeah,
Unfortunately,
but also he's a god, and I'm sure he could take on many forms.
works out.
But when it comes to Balin, he's but a man, and but yeah, they could probably just roll with it.
Just an ordinary man.
But I don't know. I really,
See, I
don't know.
really think he's going to die, Nathan.
It really
I
does
think
depend on how the episode ends.
it does. I think Thrawn doesn't care about him. We learned about that last week. I wish we got more about his relationship to Thrawn. Again, he wants her to go work with the Empire, but he doesn't care about said Empire. So that discrepancy wasn't really verbalized again. I wish we saw something about that dichotomy. It's like he wants this, he feels like there's this new power. And early on in the season, I think episode 1 or 2, she's like, "What are we hoping for, Master?" And he's like, "A new beginning." Why isn't Shin along for that new beginning? Why send her off alone, and then you go search that power? Why can't you both go search for that power? Especially last. Sorry.
Yeah, isn't it like even last week Balin was like talking to her about the idea of the cycles of like the Jedi and everything happening again. Like his goal currently is to find that said beginning and end it there.
To break the cycle. And I was so excited to see some movement on that, but nothing happened. And he sent her off to work with Thrawn.
It does throw me off as to like what he's truly gonna run into. Like, do we think he's gonna run into a Bendu type creature? Do we think he's going to enter a reverse dark side cave element of like a force chamber to reflect on?
Both options are extremely exciting. I'm always for another lesson, a dark side lesson. I think I said this last week as well.
Weren't you talking about the idea of the cut creature from Tross?
The Kylo scene from the Tross, yeah, where he's talking to like the baby face monster thing.
The spider on the baby head.
Yeah, spider on the baby, or baby on the spider, one of those, vice versa. But
if you heard that out of context, that is just...
spider, baby, hands. What? Like, look it up. It's real. It's crazy. It's cool. Again, it was featured in the Darth Vader 2020 run as well. Something like that. Because I think, and this leads me to a bigger worry that I have. I said early on in the season, the main theme, at least for me after episodes 1 and 2, were that we have Ahsoka and Sabine versus Shin and Balin. Not versus in terms of a physical battle, just in terms of themes. You have a master and an apprentice, and their struggles, their growth is going to be the main takeaway from this first season. And I think we got there with Ahsoka in terms of her fears being debilitating for her, and then Anakin having to basically assist her to get out of those fears and basically accept the good parts of Anakin and the bad parts of Anakin. Which, quick cut, I liked that she's now training with Anakin hologram. Once again, reinforcing that yes, her master did train her to be a soldier, which had its unfortunate side effects, but also he trained her to be ready for anything and to be optimistic. And that's what this hologram represents, like the good side of Anakin that me and you talked about in the episode 5 podcast, where like there is a great side of Anakin that she has to accept along with the bad. She can't just focus on the fear. I think that was like what she was struggling with. But now she's Ahsoka the Gray, she's Ahsoka the White, and she's learning to accept those good parts of her master. Now, has Sabine grown so much in this season so far? I think a little bit. I think her finding Ezra was a good part, but then I'm still scratching my head on her arc because she still was being withholding from Ezra. So hopefully there's a full circle moment for Sabine in the finale to make me feel worthwhile about her character arc this season. So I think that she's been solid. I love her. I love Natasha's performance, but I don't think her overall arc has been as consistent as I was expecting. Especially one where she was like riddled with guilt, riddled with depression for like not being able to be a good Jedi for Ahsoka, not being able to find Ezra. Well, now she found Ezra. What's her Jedi journey going to end in the finale?
It is a little odd because it does feel like a lot of the season was like driving through like the undying will of like having to find Ezra, but the potentialness of like, well, that might not be an option. And now we've come to the conclusion of like, I did it, I found him, we're good.
Yeah, like we're good, we're cool, we're laughing and joking
See?
again.
Like, which I love that for Sabine because I love Sabine, but in terms of like, we're doing a weird balancing act where like some of the plot lines we're following are like this is your season 1 of a brand new show, and the other ones being like this is the continuation for essentially a season 5 of a character.
That's a great point, Nathan, because we're coming at this as people who already know Sabine and Ezra's relationship. We saw 4 seasons of it. So them joking around like, oh, you're a Jedi now, like, oh, how did that happen? That's cool, that's cute, I really like that. I want more of it. I want more of them talking more about her struggles. Like, hey, Ezra, I really went through a lot in those years. Like, because remember, Ezra's like, I'm surprised you found me. And Sabine's like, you didn't make it easy for me. Basically, like, you didn't give me much directions, dude. Like, I wanted some kind of like talk about, hey, Ezra, those years without you were troubling for me. Like, I struggled psychologically. I was having trouble. And then nothing happened. It's just all full on jokes and wit.
There's 2 sides that we could approach where, like you're saying, Sabine's dark time of being isolated from everybody because of the loss of Ezra, and then also Ezra, talk about his isolation like to the highest degree, and the only company he has is the greatest enemy he's ever faced. But then when we're chatting with them, it's like, hey, we got some nice people here. Like, they got some good food. It's a really great time. And then Sabine's sitting there just like, this is nice, isn't it? This is nice. All right.
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't put that in my notes, but like, I didn't talk about anything. Like, this is a character who we lost since 2017 in Rebels. So going back to what you were saying in terms of like, we're coming out here with a season 5 Rebel situation here. Talk to us about what that experience was like, Ezra. Any kind of insight.
And then
nothing.
And I know that we that was like a heavy drive with Sabine in the first couple episodes with her hanging out in Ezra's tower and like watching the holograms and being sad, which was great stuff. But the reaching the point of the story where the character confronts that like yes, you're here as a resolution point, but you still have to like express yourself work through that resolution. It's not just like boom, you're fixed. You're like a lot of people like break down in emotional situations like this. It's not just like, haha, you son of a bitch.
Right? I think back, and I know people are like, oh, stop comparing everything to Andor. But like,
no.
when Andor comes back to his hometown, it's not just a reunion with his best friend. I forget her name now, but Ariana is a character. Like, they have a whole nighttime talk. She doesn't want to come to the door. She's pissed off at him. They have this long nighttime talk. Like, that's kind of what I was expecting, where he's like talking about his experience. She talks about her experience, just a vice versa, vis-a-vis kind of talk about their troubles and like what happened during each other's absence. And we just cut to like, so the Empire's gone, eh? I'm like, well, yeah.
Emperor's dead, like, you say?
Emperor's dead? Really? Well, that's what they say.
You're not supposed to know that. You're not supposed to be suspect.
I heard that line. I was like, stop it, writers. You know what you're doing.
I know a lot of it, and they had said like years ago that their path they're doing a path to the rise of the First Order, and I think that's even like clear with some people like Xiono being in office and being oblivious, which that part's good. But any like crumbs of Palpatine set up, I'm like, you don't. I mean, I get you're trying to like retroactively Clone Wars that, but
Yeah.
there's some things where I'm like, you shouldn't be suspicious at this point. Like suspicious of Thrawn, yes. Palpatine, no.
No, yeah, but that was very funny for me. So I just wanted more from like Ezra and Sabine conversation. But anyways, so that's how I was talking about for Sabine's arc. So I'm hoping something between Sabine and Ezra, or Sabine, Ezra, and Ahsoka as a trio helps Sabine come to a full circle moment in the finale. I just want her to have closure. I don't want her reunion to be her reunion with Ezra to have been her closure, and then nothing else happens with her. But yeah, going with Shin's arc, man, it requires so much heavy lifting from us. Because I think Shin and Baylan have had such great potential. Such great potential.
If they had a show, I would be all in.
All in! But their potential was, I think, really, especially after episode 5, I was like, wow, I have so many theories. She had this idea that she was close to Ezra, but he countered saying like, no, he's a Boken Jedi. You're different. You're something more. I'm like, okay, something more. What? Like, what do you think she is?
What are you trying to make? Is the more in the room with us?
Yeah, where are they at? Like, just continuing to be like subtle hints about what he wants Shin to be. What was he doing? And I said after last week's episode, Baylan's whole journey is very similar to Ahsoka, where Ahsoka was based on fear. Like she was doing a lot of things earlier in the season based on fear. Like we don't need to find Ezra. The whole basically, yeah, I already talked about it, but like Ahsoka's argument and whole rehabilitation was based on fear. I think Baylan was the same way. He fears going back to a system like the Jedi Order that was built that was not built to last. He doesn't want something fleeting anymore. He wants power to be. He wants a power that is lasting, as he talked about. He wants the power to break the wheel, but he wants to escape that feeling of fear, that feeling of powerlessness. Same thing that Ahsoka felt. But I think he feels this. I want the show to talk about it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If he doesn't feel this fear, sure. But I think that's what he's leaning towards, based on his experience when Shin asked him, like, what are your thoughts on the Jedi Order? And he reminisced about it. He liked the Jedi Order. But he says, like, it was very flawed, as we know. But it was also very fleeting. And I was like, talk about that. Like, what is your experience there? Like, and I always said, like, what was Baylan's switch moment? Was it simply Order 66? Sure, but like, usually with Order 66, there comes a personal event that marks you. Did something like that happen with Baylan? Maybe, maybe not. Again, I don't need I say this every week, I don't need a whole dissertation backstory on Baylan. I just want to be more captivated by his motivations. And like so far, Ray Stevenson's performance is doing all the heavy lifting. He's fantastic in every episode. His longing, his stares, his delivery is doing a lot of the heavy lifting. I don't know what's going to be happening in the finale with him. I hope he lives. I don't want him to die, but I think he is. I always go back and forth on it. I say that a lot to say. Let's continue, because I have some notes on this awesome flight sequence, which I did like as Ahsoka and what's it called, Huyang escape off with the Purrgil. They go through the elephant graveyard, I like to say, to escape the minefield, stuff like that. And then it was very funny when Thrawn is like, hey, call off the search on them. And Morgan is like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, we have them right where we want them. And Thrawn's like, Thrawn and me. I'm like, no, you don't. Like, you're going to waste more men going through this weird asteroid graveyard field thing. They will lead us to Sabine. Just wait. Come on.
I really get the feeling that this is the first time Morgan has actually met Thrawn. Because the amount of times she's just like, what? Why? Why would you? Why? She doesn't understand. And Thrawn always busts out like the most well-rounded one punch sentence ever.
Right. Yeah. He was like, because we'll track them to Sabine.
Yeah,
Did you think about
we'll
that?
track them. We only need 2 squads because I don't have a lot of troops left. That will suffice.
Right? Like all this stuff, which is great Thrawn stuff.
Your
But also,
hire was a Jedi. He always
like it was great Thrawn stuff, but also very much common sense, which just made it Morgan seem very infantile in that moment. She's like, what are we doing? It's like, hey, you ever heard of tracking somebody to someplace that we want to get to?
You think Morgan gets left behind? Is that too fucked up?
I can see her perishing. I don't think so, though. I always figured that she could meet her untimely demise, but I haven't been given that insinuation yet. I think she survives.
Somebody said a really funny thing where like the 3 Night Sisters are like trying to locate Ahsoka's ship when she's tuning in to find Sabine.
Oh yeah.
And then you see on the side Morgan is chanting along with them, and somebody said like, do you think she's just like just mouthing along just because? Do you think she's actually helping? I think she's a poser. Like,
I like the first option much better. She's like, yeah.
It's like that scene where like everyone's praying at the deer tail and the one person's just
like yeah, yeah, sure, amen, yeah. So yeah, I like that first option better because that was kind of funny. But yeah, that brings us to I like that scene where what's it called? The witches find Ahsoka when Ahsoka finds Sabine. It was a very cool transition editing sequence where it's like the camera zooms in on the witch's face, then Ahsoka's face, and then Ahsoka's talking to Sabine.
Yeah, I think it's primarily like once they lock in, like Ahsoka finds Sabine, and then it goes like boom. The sisters are like, we got her.
We got him. We found him.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Jedi.
We got him. That was funny. And then it was weird because Sabine, voices Ahsoka. And then Ezra's like, did you feel something? What happened? And Sabine's just like, I don't know. I think I felt something. You mouthed Ahsoka. Tell them about Ahsoka. Like, why are you being so cagey again?
This is something familiar, which, in terms of like coming off of a spiritual feeling, I can kind of, I get it. Not just being like, Ahsoka, she's here. Ah!
Shaking Ezra. Come on.
But it's kind of funny that also like super Force in tune man is sitting there just like, what you say? What?
Yeah, that was weird. I was like, you only known the Force so long. You didn't feel anything either, but I guess I don't know how the Force
Can you like single a one-way connection with a user?
Yeah, yeah, I was like it was so one way that Ezra was just like, hello? Like he was left out in the dust. I don't know. But it was kind of funny though.
Your hand on my shoulder, tune in.
Yeah. Get that electric shock. We missed that Thrawn learned about Anakin being Ahsoka's master.
That was
he kind of uses that a little bit.
He uses it, but also the response from Thrawn, like he's kind of taken aback of just like, it's not just like, oh yeah, one of these Jedi, teachers. It's like, oh, it's Anakin Skywalker, which is like he calls out as much as being like she's going to be quite unpredictable,
which I liked. Yeah. Because via the books we know that that Anakin and Thrawn have met, but for the show watchers, this is like this presumably Thrawn's first time. But either way, he kind of knows who Anakin is. Anakin's very unpredictable, which means Ahsoka's going to be very unpredictable. But you can drive, as he says in the episode, you can focus on predictability. Let them do what they're going to do, which is why he then says, call off the ships. He's like, let them do what they're going to do. Ahsoka's going to stay put. We'll find them our way, and then we'll drive that to find Sabine. So I think he kind of mastered that pretty well.
Yeah, he kind of like set up in a way where he was saying, let them take their course, and that way we all, no matter what they choose to do, we'll always be one step ahead of them.
Exactly.
Which in my brain, I'm like, how that doesn't sound unpredictable.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Can you continue that? Yeah. Okay.
I guess he's more so like every possible thing that they can do, be prepared for, I guess is what he means.
And I think for me, it's like any possible thing they can do. While they're going to be unpredictable, the main thing is Ahsoka is not here to sightsee. She's here to find Sabine. We know Sabine's on this planet. We can't find her. Well, this unpredictable Jedi will find her for us. We'll wait for her. We'll use the witches to find her. She'll leave. She'll lead us straight to Sabine, and then we'll trap her, which was a good plan, which did work, minus the X factor of Balin being like, fuck that shit, I'm out.
Which was an interesting thing that Thrawn himself calling out in his surprise, like, where is Balin? Because he essentially accounted in this battle for him to be a part of it. So,
and if Balin was there, it would have been a wrap, because Balin would have been an equal to Ahsoka. They had the forces, so they had power in numbers easily. Ezra was saberless, and Sabine had what's it called, Shin to handle. So it was like they had the 2 Jedi were locked. Ezra swarmed by stormtroopers. It would have been a wrap, night troopers, but it would have been a wrap. But with Balin not there, and then Ahsoka coming in, kind of evened the odds a bit too much, and then time.
Yeah, and I did like the little battle between Ahsoka and Balin. Ultimately coming down to like, I don't have to beat you.
And that was a funny, real quick. I liked how she just came out of nowhere, and Balin's just chilling on the mountain. Next thing you know, boom, he turned around and said,
yeah, she jumps out of the ship and lands, and then he's just like,
whoa. He's like, are you disappointed to find me? Not really. No. He's like, I'm not really disappointed. I didn't want to fight you in the first place. You fought me on Cetos. But yeah, it was funny here that he was the first one to light his lightsaber. Unlike the last time, like where she was like, give me the map. This time he lights the lightsaber first, I think, which physically can clue us into like how he is really desperate to find his calling, whatever it is, where on Cetos she was desperate to find her object, the map. This time he's the one that kind of wants to defend his path from Ahsoka. And then Ahsoka's the one to be like, I'm not going to lose this time. I'm just going to bail out. And that was a really cool exit.
Yeah, stole his wolf.
I know, right? He's like, damn.
He's like, all right. Well, yeah. It seems like his attitude was just like, I'm close to what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And he perseveres. He pushes on. Which does make you, as a viewer, it makes me more intriguing. You're just like, what's he going to find? What is calling to him? Is it Palpatine? Like, no.
It's still it's the biggest X factor going into finale that I'm desperate to find out.
Joke's on me, been on Exegol. Fuck
no. So yeah, I noted how I loved how she came from the sky, and then let's see here. So yeah, and again, this is more Ahsoka the White, where she explains how her main goal isn't defeating him. I like that from a Jedi, where it's like, you don't have to go into a fight fully expecting to win. But I did like however short the fight was, she now had her 2 lightsabers versus the 1 she used last time. But Balin was still contending very well against Ahsoka. He's a very good duelist. I love seeing him duel. And then, I think the rest of the episode, we see Ezra refusing to take a saber back, which was a cool back and forth. We kind of talked about this. How is Ezra going to use Sabine's lightsaber again? Presumably, we didn't get an official like, hey, it's yours now. But you think that's just what's going to happen? He's not going to get it back at all?
Maybe if there's like a greater conflict to come up against, then maybe he could take it back. Could be, I'm thinking about this off the cuff, could be intriguing if maybe what's calling to Balin could just be some sort of night spirit ending up taking over Balin, using him as a vessel would be kind of interesting.
I don't like possession in Star Wars.
Oh no, you don't?
I'm not a good possession type. But because it takes out of the agency out of the character.
I see.
But it could be effective. We'll see. I was so nervous in Rise of Skywalker, where they're like the rumors were that Palpatine was going to possess like Kylo or possess somebody else. I'm like, I don't want possession.
Which ended up being like a conclusion plotline for Palpatine, just like, I'll take over you, and I'm like, how?
Which I think is where the rumors came from, where there's a line where he says, I want to possess you, or I will
you strike me down and my essence will pass into you, and and you'll take your places then. And I'm like, who's steering this?
Yeah, that'd been weird. But speaking of that, there was a great moment in Jujutsu Kaisen recently where somebody's possessed, but their soul is like like choking their own neck. It's like the person in there is trying to like
Fight
kill
back.
them, fight back. It was really awesome.
Ah, that's cool.
Tear jerking. I was like, oh, I'm crying. Anyways, so
Boy,
yeah.
if you like that stuff, you should check out Time Place.
Ooh wait. Is my character going to be possessed? What?
No, but the whole type of this, it's actually a lot more tragic than I let on.
Good. I love tragedy, baby. But yeah, just Ezra. And although we didn't get much Ezra and Sabine content before the battle sequence, I did enjoy the battle for the most part. It wasn't filmed the best, I think. It is what it is. But I like the whole Ewok similarity, Battle of Endor similarities there.
Yeah.
You even got the full on what's it called? Rock launcher? What is it called? Slingshot.
Catapult
slingshot stuff.
Yeah.
Which was cool. Ezra being in tune with those species and Noti was really cool. And yeah, again, Ezra fighting without the saber saying the force is all I need, and just going off, blocking Shin's blades with just the force is really cool. I like seeing him. I like seeing characterization through action, and I think that's what we got here in that final sequence.
It almost felt a little like it's precise in the way that he takes down the troopers. But then in other times it feels a bit like Drunken Master-esque of just like
for sure
falling into the movement.
Yeah. He's still getting his groove back. It's been a while since he's had any conflict. Or maybe it hasn't been a while. I don't know. We don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so our heroes are reunited. Thrawn concedes the battle because, again, he says, like, he's surprised Balin didn't show up. It's just unforeseen. But, Morgan's like, did we fail or whatever? He's like, no. Our cargo is nearly secured. We have time on our hands. In his big picture, he's always worrying about the big picture, is getting the hell out of there. That's his big picture. Doesn't matter what happens. He wants to get the hell out of there. Once the cargo is secured, presumably he'll be ready to go. And as we said last week, he said that would take 3 days. It's been a day, so maybe there's 2 days. Maybe there's one more day left. I'm not sure how time works on these episodes.
I mean, I guess you could presume some time could have passed in, like, because when we get back to Ezra and Sabine, they're already on the move. So
yeah, so it could have been a day there. We'll probably do another day now. So yeah, I think in the finale it'd be like, this is the last day. This is the day, D-Day. We got to go. So yeah, heroes are reunited. Ahsoka and Ezra, solid reunion for me. I didn't love it, but it was great to see Ahsoka and Ezra come back. Like, again, the last time they talked to each other was see you in chemistry, basically. When they're in
not see you in chemistry.
When they're in the Roaching Worlds.
Oh, Evan,
yeah.
So I was I told you I had I recently on sale I got the 4 seasons of Drake and Josh on my Vudu.
Hell yes.
Oh my god, fucking it. I pressed play on them, and that show was filmed in like a 4:3 like TV format.
Oh yeah.
Vudu filled it to screen, so it's a little cut off.
No,
and I paid for that shit, man. I'm like, look, because like the Drake and Josh intro will play, and it says Drake and. I got paid for Josh. I'm like, no,
that's awful.
That's so mad. I want a refund.
Oh, that's so bad.
I was like, all right, I'll go to Paramount. Fuck it.
Damn. That's fucked up. I would have. Oh man. So it's like fully full screen, but it's not like cropped.
Yeah, I don't know if I could like change a setting or something, but it's just there's no way. Because like I also for the same thing I bought the 03 Ninja Turtle series, all that, and they're in the square, and it's fine. I see everything.
Yeah.
I don't have.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
They're both Nickelodeon. Why you do this,
Nick? Yeah. Damn. That's fucked up. But So yeah,
I want to quote you now. I want to like clip that as like a quote for the Time Later show. What happened, Nick? That's fucked up.
What happened, Nick? Yeah, great delivery on my part.
As opposed to 20 takes of
yeah.
Good the making of Doc is just that.
Please, were we? Yeah, we weren't live, we were just off air, weren't we?
I don't know if I don't think I recorded you vocally,
No.
but like all the audio is recorded.
You're right. Yeah, it is. It is. Anyway, so yeah, Heroes Reunited. Ezra and Ahsoka, very good. You know, Sabine, I think, comments how she thought Ahsoka was dead. But they're all back. They're all reunited. I think that was pretty much it. This episode really did, at the end, focus on this cargo. And I figured the cargo was going to be like whatever, but like I guess it's seemingly important. Is it going to be as important in the finale? Okay, here's two things I'm thinking about with this mysterious cargo. Either it's going to be a thing where if Ezra and the crew get on the ship, they uncover it and it's like that kind of thing, or is it going to be unleashed on the heroes in next week's episode? Are we going to see any of it? Is it important at all? I don't know.
It could be cool if the heroes unleash it onto Thrawn's ship as they're trying to escape, and then that kind of foils their exit. Which I always pitch this every single time. Like, these would be cool scenarios, but one way or another, Thrawn has to make it back. At least Thrawn himself has to make it back.
That's the thing, and that's the thing going to this finale where it's like, what's one thing that has to happen for the season to be meaningful? It's like the whole show has been about, hey, there is an impending threat of Thrawn. He is coming. So yeah, we have to have Thrawn coming back, and like we mentioned earlier in the episode here, I don't want it to end where it's just like, we're on our way, Galaxy. Here we come. Credits. I would hate that. I would hate if Dave, don't do it, Dave. Don't do it. Get Thrawn to the
Been locked
galaxy.
for months.
I know, right? Get us to this back to our galaxy. Let the New Republic know of Thrawn's return. So all these tribunal scenes and like, hey, Hera's lying, make it worth it. Make it worth it so that we, in this season, make Thrawn's threat a reality.
Maybe
to the public.
Maybe the way to have your cake and eat it. Not buying 2 cakes, but
that's for Beyond the Spider-Verse.
There you go. That's for you. Perhaps what if Thrawn does get the upper hand and he has our heroes captured and everybody's returning, and under the guise of, say, Ahsoka's ship, it's like, oh, hey, cool, here they are, and then coming out is our heroes at gunpoint and Thrawn overtaking maybe one of the Republic cruisers to get a better, ride and to then move out of the galaxy. Also grab some Republic intel from said carrier, and then now it's like, okay, fuck, Thrawn is back and he has our people. We gotta move.
So he says he loses the Chimera and gains the Republic ship, is what you're saying?
Maybe kind of like a Trojan horse type deal.
Yeah, that could happen.
As I started explaining, I was like, I don't have all the details. This is kind of crumbling.
But you're cooking for a second there. But either way, as we both said, I think Thrawn needs to get to the galaxy, and he needs to pose a threat. I'm thinking a la Order of the Phoenix ending, where it's like newspapers, like Voldemort is back. Like the whole Voldemort at the what's it called? The court place, whatever it's called. Ministry of Magic, yeah. Ministry of Magic, Voldemort, he's back. We were all wrong. I want that for the finale. I want the like, oh shit, he's back.
Yeah,
it's him.
I
forget. I love that line.
He's back. It is cool, like the whole like build up to that being, in essence, just like, he's not back. Shut up, you stupid boy. No, and trying to keep order in the peace and all that.
Which is what we've been getting with this season. Hera, you're an idiot. What are you talking about?
Which, granted, he's not back yet, but we know he's alive.
We know he's alive, and Mothma's the only one being like, "Are you sure? What do you think? What's your threat level here?" It's like, it's a 5. No, midnight. So I need that fear to become reality. That's one thing. Our heroes need to come back. That's another thing. I don't want us to be stranded on Peridia by the finale. I don't think that'll be that quite effective.
I don't think anybody can be stranded unless their storyline's done. I don't think we make it back here. I don't think there's an instance where I don't know. Do you think there would ever be an instance with one character being like they're not going to make it back, but one person can, and it'd be like, "I'll come back for you," type situation?
I was gonna say yes, but then I'm realizing that that's kind of what Ezra's story was, and we've already treaded that ground already.
That's true, but at least in
Right.
some essence, we have this path charted, kinda.
True.
Do you think do you think Hu Yang has a scan of the whale's path going as they were flying with it?
I think they would have mentioned that, or if not,
I mean, they did mention that like his scans did indicate that the whales were slowing down, so he was monitoring themselves.
True. Yeah. Good point.
I don't know. Star Wars tech can work however you want as long as the writer says it does that way.
And there can always be just a random line at the finale. It's like, while we were writing, I managed to scan the ship, and now that we can find our way back. I'm like, okay. Because now you mentioned it, my idea of Ezra Sabine and Ahsoka going onto Thrawn's ship and just hitching the ride back to the galaxy that way.
Well, yeah. Now that I've explained this, that does make it pointless, doesn't it? They could just hop back on their ship.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, how do we get Hu Yang in Ahsoka's ship? Like, does Hu Yang go with them onto Thrawn's ship, or they just go on Ahsoka's ship and find a way back there that way? I don't know.
Well, actually, no. Sorry, it doesn't negate the mission to get aboard Thrawn's ship because they don't have the hyperspace capability of traveling such a distance. They would run out of fuel by that point. They don't have big enough.
So either way, Ahsoka's ship is out of the picture. It can't be the way back. It has to be Thrawn's ship. It has to be. That's the only way.
And I don't think we can send transmissions to a separate galaxy. We don't have strong enough instruments.
No. So I think, going through this bit by bit, Ezra, first of all, has to be aware of the situation. Stop being vague, Sabine. Sabine has to. I assume this is going to be the first 5 minutes of the episode. So what I've been meaning to tell you is that I hitched a ride with the villains, and then the only way off this planet is with Thrawn.
Yeah, we're gonna have a cold open. Things are about to with Thrawn. Things are about to ramp up, and we're gonna have the title card, and we're gonna cut back to the ship. And it's just gonna be like, "You what?"
Yeah, basically. Again, off-screen stuff that we should get on screen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was off-screen. Because again, we know this shit already, so we don't technically need it. But I also would want, just Sabine and Ezra to be talking. And
it is funny because it seems like writers, a lot these days don't want to waste time of re-saying what we've already seen to a character that doesn't know. They just kind of like jump ahead of it. But then I can see you not wanting to waste time to have more stuff to do other things. But then we have other moments where we're just like, these people are nice.
It's weird because like I can see them skipping it, but what I wanted from this episode was that like talk about what Sabine's been through or what Ezra's been through, then lead into, hey, this is how we gotta get off this. This is how I got here.
Could you imagine having a scene of, and I guess we could still have it, but imagine having a scene of Ezra being so ecstatic and happy about the thought, like, hey, I'm gonna make it home. You found me. This is amazing. I'm so happy to see you. And then being told that our only way back is that Thrawn also goes back, and then just watching his face drop into dread.
That's a great conflict to have, right? It's like our only way back is to have the greatest threat to the galaxy come back as well. And this is a gamble that Thrawn mentioned in episode 5. He's like, you're risking the galaxy for one man. It's like, yeah, because it's Ezra. But also, as I kept on saying, it's like, this was the right decision because they'll eventually find a way that'll be good for them and for the galaxy. Mm-hmm. But bringing Thrawn back to the galaxy isn't great in any sense of the word. So, yeah, it'll be a great discussion if they want to have that kind of meaty discussions. Like, the only way back is by bringing back the man that we did all this for. We did all this to keep Thrawn away, and now we have to undo it by bringing you and Thrawn back. Because I think Ezra might even consider, like, if we can cut off this ship, maybe none of us are coming back. That could be a thing for the finale to deal with. Like, hey, you're not leaving Thrawn, and neither are we. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think one of the characters could consider it, where it's like, none of us is coming back. And, yeah, I don't know. Kind of like an Ant-Man thing. It's like, we're all going to stay in the quantum realm. It's like, you idiot.
We don't have to win. We both just have to lose.
Yeah. Oh boy, that was
I'm still so upset, Evan.
what happened?
I'm upset because I genuinely love that trailer so much. From a concept standpoint, I'm like, oh, this is going to be the hardest fucking Ant-Man ever. Like, they misdirected me so bad.
ants. Anyways,
They reshot 2 weeks before release.
oh no. Anyway, so yeah, Ezra has to be aware. Thrawn has to be a threat to the new galaxy. But my main thing, Nathan, what's gonna happen with Shin?
Oh,
Is there enough development to make her either if she's going to be redeemed? If because we get the great Ahsoka giving her hand to a Shin moment, Shin doesn't take it, and also this is a great parallel between Balin giving his hand to Sabine. Sabine took it. Ahsoka gives her hand to Shin. Shin doesn't take it. Does Ahsoka try again in the finale? If she does, is there enough time? Has there been given enough time for Shin's character to develop in a way that makes it satisfactory for her to turn? Because so far, all her redemption ideas are coming from the fandom and from me just expecting it to happen for a character that's so young, so easily, or has the potential to be malleable to a new direction in life. So far, we know she's extremely devoted to Balin. There's been no indication where she has sensed like, what are we doing? Besides last week where I mentioned like, hey, this planet really stinks. I think we should get out of here as soon as possible. And Balin's basically just like, but there's a new power here that I think could be beneficial for us. So she's kind of torn there, but I think there's nothing that clues me into being like, man, I got to change my way of thinking. I got to change my way of life. There's nothing to sense any kind of change within Shin as of going into the finale. So the finale, do I expect the finale, 45-minute max, amongst other things, to deliver a satisfactory switch with Shin? I don't think so. The only way I can see that happening is if Balin sacrifices his life to save her, and that pushes her to side with the heroes. Again, I thought that was going to happen in this episode, especially with Shin and Balin being so close to Sabine and Ezra. Like they were on their ass this episode, but nothing happened. So I'm like, Shin ran off someplace random. I have no idea. Did she run off to Balin? Maybe. Does she know where Balin went? Presumably, we don't know where Balin went. So how does she know where Balin went? So,
I mean, presumably she went back with the troops, I guess.
Presumably she went back to the troops. So it's like, is she ever going to see Balin again? It's like, what are we expecting here with this finale? It's like, what is going to happen? Is she going to change at all? Is she going to stay a villain? She can easily just stay a villain, and then we'll see her in season 2.
There was somebody posed an interesting thing. I can't speak completely to it because I don't know the character as well. I have to look into, but in terms of Filoni seemingly going towards the Heir of the Empire story, culminating for his movie, we've obviously been seeing characters taking new roles from the original trilogy characters because we're pretty limited on their usage, right?
Yeah.
So I think I saw somebody pitching the idea of maybe Shin might fill to a degree the role of Mara Jade in this type of story, at least in terms of like a Force user who started on a darker path of joining our heroes along the conflict.
Oh,
I don't think in terms of like Luke's wife or whoever our Jedi in places at this time.
I'm too young for that.
Right. Do we think Ezra is the Luke of the Heir of the Empire story this time around? Maybe.
I hope so. It's way better than just having Luke or Han and Leia in there. Ezra's our guy. Ezra has a vendetta against, not vendetta, but Ezra has a past against Thrawn. They were linked by both getting sent to Peridia. I think Ezra he could easily just be the main character of the movie if they really wanted to be smart about it. But they'll probably just do Ahsoka. But I think that's a good idea. That's a good comparison. I mean, Shin. So I always thought that we'll have Shin's turn be in this season. I don't think there's enough time now. I think this penultimate episode really squandered that. But I think if they end it with a tease of a possibility of change, I can accept that. I can
Like,
kind
do
of
you think
accept
maybe because Balin told her as much, like take your place in the new empire? Do you think maybe she does, but we do see on her face like a sense of like, what am I doing here? But
that. She
probably feeling,
should
yeah. I
because
think in
because
like a
what connection does she have with Thrawn?
no
There's
none
none connection to Thrawn. Like,
no.
what would she be doing there without Balin's guidance? She'd just be like, it'll be like a kid left at school with nothing to do. It's uh, like why am I here? Why I'm in charge of the Empire, but I've never worked with the Empire. I'm a mercenary, but now I'm supposed to be working with them. It would feel very odd if she just takes her place in this Empire where Thrawn doesn't even care about her. As we learned last week, it's like if Balin and Shin lose, too bad. I'm out of here.
I
So
think it could be a situation because I guess because she's young and she is like thinking about that thing Balin said. Maybe she takes place in the Empire because she's like, where else would I go? But then when she
true.
is there, she also will have like the lingering thought of reminder, like Ahsoka making the offer and
I would
being so
love that.
gentle.
I would love that. That works for me. A character getting in a position of power, but not fully with it, a la
Mhm.
Zuko season 3 of Avatar. In this case, it's not like she wanted to be in this position of power. It's just what her master told her to do, and she's like, she trusted her master enough. I was seeing this episode to be like, okay, cool. I mean, like all she's been doing this so far is doing what Balin has been telling her to do.
Yeah.
So I don't see anything within her to fully go against Balin unless Balin's out of the picture. You know what I mean?
It
Um,
it's so amusing to think of Shin acting like Zuko in the Star Wars universe.
Hi,
Uh,
Shin here.
yeah. Why am I so bad at being good?
So that could work.
Oh yeah.
So, and again, if Shin's like a conflicted Shin heading into a season 2 has fun prospects, I want one more Shin and Sabine moment, right? I think they had a dynamic going in the first half of the season that's kind of lost traction. So I kind of would like for them to have some kind of moment. But besides that, I don't know what else to speculate on with Balin because Balin's the big. I'm with you. It's either Bendu, some Force, Night Sister magic lesson. Again, you're on the Night Sister homeworld. You have to expect that you're going to get some Night Sister trap or something. But he's fully on board with something that's beneficial to him. At least he feels like it
Do I get
is.
Marin in the finale?
That'd be great.
Cal Kestis has been calling to Balin. He's
It's a
coming,
trap.
Evan. I'm telling you, he's still coming. In Bad Batch
would,
season 3.
that would be cool. But
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Do you think Zeb comes in the last episode? Do you think he's gonna show up?
Only if, as we said, if they have time to showcase Thrawn's might at the end of the
Mhm.
season, at the end of the episode, if he fires on some New Republic troops and Ezra's there, or in Zeb is there, because that's the only way we can get like 30 minutes of them doing this prettiest stuff, and then last half doing some back in our galaxy stuff. But I'm not sure. That's the only way,
Mhm.
because yeah, I would love an Ezra and Zeb reunion. Ezra and Chopper and Hera reunion, but that only come at the price of Thrawn coming back and also wrecking havoc. So there's a lot this finale has to do. But I have to head out soon. So
Okay.
so yeah, that's kind of all I had for theories. I hope this finale picks up some of the pieces and just gives us a satisfactory ending for Sabine's arc and for Hera's arc at least, and then hopefully a good farewell for Balin or a good send off if he dies for Balin. If he doesn't die, then just give me something good for Balin. What's happening here? No more vagueness. I need everything out in the open. With Sabine and Ezra out in the open, Shin and Balin out in the open. They're dynamic. Just give it to me straight. I'm excited. I'm trepidatious, but we shall see.
You
Hopefully, this is a long one, not a 35-minute finale.
right. Do you said for Sabine and Hera's arc, do you feel like they maybe had a similar arc of like I have to do this thing and then they do the thing and then by the end they're like, I was right to do this thing.
Yeah. Pretty much. I think that's gonna be it. It's like I was right the whole time.
Do you think like do you think like the season may have favored as opposed to the arc of character change rather to the arc of story progression?
Unfortunately, so I think it was mostly like story focused rather
Mm.
than any kind of change in movement. I think the show is aptly called Ahsoka, and Ahsoka has had the most movement as a character.
Best arc, which is what
Best
you can
arc,
hope for. I think
exactly.
it's just jarring for us viewers for that to have happened. Episode 5.
And episode 5, at the expense of Sabine, Shin, Balin, characters that are not much more interesting than Ahsoka. I think they are, but
E-
also just
yeah.
like they're newer characters, so I want them to have time to shine as well.
Even to like the final scene of the penultimate episode here, it seems like Ahsoka has dropped any conflict against Sabine's actions. So now it feels like
Yeah.
Ahsoka's done cooking. She's ready. She's done. Now she's just here.
And now she's a master. Hopefully, she can impart something to Sabine, right? So
Hope. I guess that is the final step. Is like they're gonna go into the final conflict as master and apprentice, and it's gonna click beautifully.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm excited. Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah. So you guys can find me on Twitter, Harris EV9. I'm getting ready to watch some Castlevania Nocturne. We're halfway through the season already. It is fantastic. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's amazing. I love it. Great antagonists, great enemies, great like interpersonal politics. Action's amazing. Yeah, I love this season so far. So yeah, get ready to do that. And yeah, Tuesday, Ahsoka's back. Friday, Loki's back. Holy shit.
Wow.
And we're gonna be doing a commentary on Exorcist coming up soon as well. So
I got
commentaries, Ahsoka. We're busy, baby.
I got an ad in the theater yesterday that Exorcist is coming back to AMC theaters through Fathom Events October 1st and 3rd, I think.
Oh wow.
The director's cut specifically, and I was sitting there like, "Fuck, that would be cool." But we're streaming.
Save it for the commentary. Do what must be done.
No, absolutely, yeah. Because just with the tiny glimpses that they were giving, I was like, "Fuck, it's gonna be a creepy ass movie. I can't wait to watch." It's gonna be fun. I wonder what thumbnail I'll concoct. Jesus. But yeah, follow me at _TimeBlazer, making a show called Time Blazer with co-star and creative consultant Evan Harris.
Yeah, that's me. Ben. That's the name I'm looking for. I totally forgot what I usually say.
We haven't recorded in a minute, so you're like, oh, who am I?
Kane.
I'm cooking. Characters have been evolving, and it's been intriguing. I have to update you, sir, on where we're going.
Ooh.
It might be good, honestly, that you read the script, so I guess you can actually be a story consultant.
That'd be great.
But yeah, with that being said, guys, if you enjoyed this, make sure to like button, subscribe, not already. Ring the bell so you miss future coverage on all things Star Wars. We're concluding Ahsoka, and we're going to be estimating where we're going to move forward into Filoni's movie and other elements. So yeah, check that out. And that being said, hope you have a great day. May the Force be with you always.